You're watching the Packers Report. My name is Joey Peterson. So happy to have you on today's show. Speaking of today's show, we got some major changes that might be coming down the pike before Monday night's game against the Philadelphia Eagles, starting with replacing Tucker Kraft. How do you replace Tucker Kraft? Well, you kind of don't. It's almost impossible to do so. He meant so much to this offense. He meant so much to this scheme. He meant so much to Jordan Love. But Matt LaFleur knows it's not just one position group that needs to step up, it's everybody. He said so himself today. Everybody has to pull a little bit more and do a little bit more. It's not going to go on just one position group. It's not going to go on just the tight ends. We need it to be from everybody. I've got a feeling that it's going to be from rookie wide receiver Savion Williams. And I'll tell you why. So in looking at Tucker Kraft, the first 9 weeks of this season, amongst tight ends, he was third in receiving yards with 469, second in yards per catch, second in receiving touchdowns, first in yards after catch, first in yards after catch average, second in yards per route run, first in catches of 40 or more yards, first in passer rating when targeted. He was having an unbelievable season. But the great thing to look at that in terms of replacing him, and again, I love him. It's going to be hard, probably impossible to replace him. But the great thing when looking at those numbers, if you are going to try to replace Tucker Kraft, is looking at his yards after catch yardage. So in 2025, he had 346 yards after catch. That was fourth best in the NFL. That's including wide receivers. His yards after catch was 70% of his total yardage. And then this interesting statistic I saw, his average separation was 3.5 yards. That's only 17th best among tight ends. So he was elite in this category. He was elite in that category. He was elite in most categories except average separation. So that tells me that Tucker Kraft wasn't elite at getting open. It was mainly Matt LaFleur and this Packers offense scheming him to get open, and then Tucker Kraft doing the rest after he's got the ball in his hands. That tells me his production can be somewhat replicated. It's going to take a special person to do it, but it is production that can be replicated because it's not like he was just going out there and breaking cornerbacks' ankles and just running these nasty routes and getting open. It was more of he was getting open via the scheme, and then he would just do the rest because he was so special. If I were you, I would look out for Savion Williams over these next couple of weeks. And I get it. He's dealing with some injuries. But when he is back and healthy, and that could be on Monday against Philadelphia, we don't know as of right now, I would keep my eyes out on him. And I also hear what you're saying. Joey, what about Musgrave? He's the tight end one right now. Well, I think we all know that Luke Musgrave does not have the same yards after catch ability that a guy like Tucker Kraft does. You get that. I get that, Gage. That's supposed to be Kraft, so just go logo right there. We all get that. And so I don't think they're going to try to do the same thing with Luke Musgrave. And when you look at Tucker Kraft, like where he is lined up this year, 74 of his snaps have been in the slot, 31 out wide, and in line on that offensive line has been 150 of them. When I think about that snap alignment for Tucker Kraft, I imagine Savion Williams getting every single one of those slot snaps and wideout snaps, which was totaled to 105 so far this year. And I would imagine Luke Musgrave gets all of his inline snaps. Because if you think about Savion Williams, what was the big thing we loved about him coming out of college? It was the fact that he could break dudes' ankles. It was the fact that he could make guys miss. He forced more missed tackles in college football than any other player in the sport. So if you can scheme open Tucker Kraft, you can scheme open Savion Williams and just let him do the rest in the yards after catch factor. I will say there will be also another major change in the personnel that Green Bay runs. Right now, they are fifth highest in the National Football League in 12 personnel, which is one running back, 2 tight ends. They run that at a 37.8% clip. So some major changes that are coming in replacing Tucker Kraft. I think you're going to see an increase in Savion Williams' snaps. I think you're going to see an increase in Williams' targets, catches. I think he might be the new Tucker Kraft anytime he's lined up as a wide receiver, and I think you're going to see a little bit of a decrease in 12 personnel. Help us out. Okay, I want to see an increase in this sub count. We are 11 subs away to 17.3 thousand Packers fans. If you haven't joined us yet, do it right now, and I'll tell you a little bit about our awesome sponsor at Underdog. Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Let's cut to the chase. If you download the app today and sign up with promo code PackersReport, you score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Here's my Underdog lineup for Monday night's game against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Jordan Love's going to have a nice bounce-back game coming from that Carolina Panthers game where, let's just face it, the offense was horrible. Give me the higher on 1.5 passing touchdowns for him. Give me the lower on Saquon Barkley, 77.5 rushing yards. And give me the higher on Luke Musgrave, 2.5 receptions in the absence of Tucker Kraft. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code PackersReport. Score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code PackersReport. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in any state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play. Get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-877-8-OPEN-Y or text OPEN-Y to 467-369. The second major change that is coming up for Monday Night Football is in the kicker room. I believe there's going to be a little bit of a special team shakeup coming. As you know, it's been an up-and-down season for Brandon McManus. He got hurt in practice after that Cowboys game, missed a couple of weeks. There was the bye week in there. And then since he's been back, it's been a little bit shaky. Of course, Matt LaFleur was asked about that today, and he said that I think every time it's a competitive situation. We're going to have both guys kick today and see where Brandon is at. Now, that seems like a normal response until you realize that in the weeks prior to this, he got asked a lot about it, and he pretty much just said Brandon McManus is going to be the kicker, right? Lukas Havrisik hasn't kicked in a decent bit of practices since Brandon McManus has been back, and I think that this is the correct decision. I'm not going to sit here and pound my fist on the table and act like I know a damn thing about kicking a football in the National Football League, but if you don't at least have these guys competing in practice, I think that is coaching malpractice. Because since Brandon McManus has returned from injury, he's been horrible. 4 for 7 field goals, 57%. Anything from 40 yards to 49 yards, he's been 1 for 3. 50 plus, he's been 0 for 1. So that means anything 40 yards or longer since he's been back, he's making those at a 25% clip. In fact, you can look back at Sunday's game against Carolina, and that game might be different if he makes that field goal. Now, I'm not going to put it all solely on him. I'm not going to sit here and say Brandon McManus lost the Packers that football game. However, it was a big part of the reason why you did. Obviously, you had the Savion Williams fumble. You had the decision to go for it on 4th and 8. But you also had Brandon McManus' missed field goal. That's a whole different ballgame if he makes that. And on the flip side of the coin, Lukas Havrisik, since he's played, or when he played in replace of Brandon McManus for those 2 weeks, he was perfect, literally. 4 for 4 on field goals, 1 for 1 from 40 to 49 yards, 1 for 1 from 50 plus. His long, when he was kicking in those 2 weeks, was 61 yards. And also, this was an update from, November 6th? This is 3 days ago. Matt LaFleur openly admitting that Brandon McManus is definitely working through some things health-wise, but they've gone with him the last 2 games because of what they've seen in practice. The plan as of 3 days ago was to stick with McManus. In my opinion, you have a safe solution with Lukas Havrisik. It is so safe to just keep running with him. Because in the 2 weeks you saw him, he was great. There's no excuse to keep trotting Brandon McManus out there when he's contributing to you losing football games. And he's not 100% healthy. Let him rest. Let him get there. And you got a good option while he's resting. Who should start on Monday? Let me know. Give me a BM or an LH in the comment section down below. Do you think it should be Brandon McManus or Lukas Havrisik? Let me know in the comment section. Before we get out of here, I got some additional injury news to update you guys with. Practice reports, Matthew Golden back at practice. Obviously, he's been dealing with that shoulder injury since Sunday's game against Carolina. With Tucker Kraft gone, I need as many offensive weapons as I can when it comes to the pass catchers. So glad he's back at practice, and glad his teammate, Dontavian Wicks, was also back at practice. He's dealing with that calf injury. Aaron Banks was back as well, dealing with the stinger, and Colby Wooden back as well, interior defensive tackle, dealing with a shoulder injury. So you're getting a lot more depth back in positions where you desperately need it at this time of the year. When you look at the other side of the football, the Eagles, they had some big players get back today. A.J. Brown being one of them, dealing with a hamstring injury. Saquon Barkley, he's been dealing with a groin. He was at practice again today. And then Adoree Jackson, defensive back, he's been dealing with a concussion. Looks like all three of those guys are going to be good to go for Monday Night Football in Lambeau Field. It's going to be a good one. Make sure you got me followed on social media. We're about to get on out of here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Hope you guys have an awesome Friday here at Chat Sports. Thursdays are our Friday, so enjoy the weekend. I'll tell you that right now, and make sure you subscribe.